Hello, 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 and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between. I am your host, James J. As always, with me, Kaliko Yachts.
Reporting live from California. What's up, y'all?
And clear skies for Scooter Dust.
Hey, let's all get naked and see who the best man is. I'm looking at you, Kip Sabian.
It's a great day for wrestling, and it's also a great day for wrestling with entertainment. Um, we got a lot of views on my video of
Three.
of me going into the supermarket and asking people who Darby Allin was. A very interesting study. I found it very amusing. I don't think the people exactly knew what was going on, but that just makes it more interesting, doesn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's the first time I ever actually saw your face, James.
And you won't
he's like, I,
again.
he's like, I finally put a name to the face, a face to the name.
So, unfortunately, my efforts were rendered useless. Nobody in the supermarket knew who Darby Allin was. Kaliko, you're up next. What could we expect from San Diego supermarkets?
Well, it's weird because San Diego is part of, it's close to Mexico, which is where like the wrestling culture is kind of a lot more feverish, if you will. But the section of San Diego that I'm in it's more affluent, if you will. So it wouldn't surprise me if people didn't know who Darby Allin was. And I'll give you this as an example. I had a guy that was coming in my house, and he came to our room like to fix something or something. And I have all this wrestling shit. So my wife was like, "Oh my god, he's so into wrestling." Then he walks in, and then he sees like the Undertaker plaques and all the belts, and he's like, "Holy shit, he is really into wrestling." So, so it's almost like it's not as obsessive in San Diego, and it shows because they don't really do a lot of. We don't get all the good shows, or good pay-per-views, if you will. So,
What
yeah,
I'm really
LA gets that shit.
what I'm really interested is when Scooter does his side of things, because
Oh,
in New York, Dar-
yes.
Darby Allin might be a little bit more established there because AEW's been up there a lot more than they've been down here.
Yes, and,
They've been
Dar-
there a lot more than the whole West Coast combined.
I mean, Darby Allin did probably the last, major gathering in New York. Uh, he was at the 2020 New York Toy Fair back in February,
Huh.
and I know he's got a little bit like he's got more of a following in the Mid-Atlantic area because he came from Evolve.
Okay, then
Correct
that
me if
makes sense.
I'm wrong. Evolve was in Georgia?
No, Evolve.
No, it's in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
I know it's in the Atlantic area.
Yeah. Evolve was mainly Jersey, Mid-Atlantic tri-state area,
Okay.
Jersey, New York, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's going to be interesting, to say the least. Not so good news. Impact Wrestling lost Barry Scott, who used to
The
do
voice. Yep.
the voice of TNA essentially. TNA crossed the line. Um, which kind of sucks because he was, essentially the voice of TNA. Anything you guys want to add to that?
He's up there with Cheeks. Nobody remembers Cheeks.
Can't say that I do.
Big heavy guy.
Oh man, let's just get the DeLorean. Can we get the DeLorean and just skip the 2022? Because I feel like this shit's just gonna be all over into 2021.
We can get a Mandalorian now.
We can, because Mulan, Szechuan sauce, yeah.
Yeah, but you
Baby
gotta pay
Yoda.
$35 for it, so.
Thoughts and prayers go out to his family, and we also lost Puppet the Psycho Dwarf.
Yeah,
Any?
Puppet the Psycho, which he worked with Cheeks.
Oh, there you go. There's your connection.
There, he's like, oh, there's the connection.
There we go.
There it is.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family as well. Shocking news this week. WWE laid off around 70 crew members and backstage people, including longtime employee of WWE, Gerald Brisco. This
30
is
years.
not a great time to be in WWE, is it? Isn't it, Scooter?
I mean, when has it been a great time to be in the WWE at all this year?
Right. But, they went from, a massive firing slash follow earlier in the year. And once again, they said they cut 70 people, I heard.
And and Gerald Brisco is someone that Vince had a list of people who would always have a job, and Jerry Brisco was one of those people. Now you combine that with the fact that Vince has dropped off the list of richest CEOs, and that tells you the declining financial state of how the WWE really is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, they lost a lot of money this year, but they also still continue to make a profit. So you could maybe say that maybe these firings were kind of unwanted in a sense.
Well, I think the layoffs, because usually when companies do layoffs, the layoffs is to offset the cost to gain the profits. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they turn a profit. Yeah, that they turn that profit by trimming the fat of their payroll. That's basic business. That's how most businesses operate. Um, to me, I feel like that they were trying to hold on as long as they could because they did that one mass firing, but then they furloughed everybody because they were hoping, well, shit, it gets to September, October, everything will be better, and we could, keep it going and maybe hire some people. And as you can see, it's September. We still fucking inside grounded, and they got to make those moves.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully, if this ever
It is.
if this ever goes away, that maybe some of these guys will get rehired.
I feel like Gerald Brisco should have retired at that point. Like, you've been there 30 years, your pension should be fat. And you're at least your 401k.
I mean, is the body shop still in business?
I believe
I
it
mean,
is.
if he's doing auto repairs, he'll never be out of business. Shit.
One of the better things that happened this week, Finn Balor won the NXT Championship for the second
Oh,
time.
called it.
Yes, you
Yeah, you
did.
called it. You called it.
No, wait a minute. You said Adam Cole. You went with Adam Cole.
No, I
No,
went Adam Cole.
I went Balor.
I went Adam Cole. No, actually, no, I went Gargano because I thought Gargano it would have made sense because they were kind of building him up to be like this guy that fixes NXT. But
Now he's a house husband.
yeah, you know how that goes, the husband and wife thing. But I guess with Finn, because my thing was I thought Finn was gonna go to NXT UK, take out Walter, and then that's it. But based on the travel restrictions, hey, it kind of keeps him, afloat as the champ and as a name. And it makes sense for him because he's one of the most popular stars in NXT plus or in WWE rather. And plus, like, since he got back to NXT, he hasn't really lost a lot of matches. So it kind of makes you seem like how come he didn't get this shot earlier if they knew NXT UK wasn't going to pop off?
And with the Survivor Series, coming around the
Yep.
way, I can see them possibly trying to bank on something between Balor and McIntyre.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
Reigns.
Balor and Reigns. Yeah, back him out. Because think about it. Balor, if I'm not mistaken, I think they faced each other.
Yeah.
Balor and McIntyre in Raw. And I think McIntyre been owning his ass. But I
don't
know
remember
Balor and
Balor, but I do remember Reigns, and Finn Balor actually won that match.
right, because that was the
Yeah.
Universal Tournament, and he was the first champ.
Right. NXT's been on Tuesdays for the last 2 weeks. Uh, and they're already thinking about making that a permanent home for NXT. What are your thoughts on, NXT possibly backing out of the Wednesday Night Wars with AEW? Scooter?
I mean, if you go back to like when you had Raw on Monday, SmackDown on Tuesday, NXT on Wednesday, combined with pay-per-view Sunday, that was 4 days in a row worth of wrestling, 5 with an NXT takeover. Honestly, I think Wednesdays are a much better fit because you're gonna at some point fans are gonna get overloaded. You know, so the spacing out in the week just allows the fans to like kind of mellow out a little bit. So whatever happened on Raw can leave their mind, and they can focus on what's coming up on NXT, and then that leaves their minds. They can focus on what's coming up on SmackDown, and it's a nice flow having it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
So you think it's gonna maybe burn some fans out?
Yeah, combined um, with with I'm pretty sure Tuesday is the no, because right now, I mean, Tuesday is
Tuesday has
one of
the
the most competitive nights on television across all the networks.
really. I didn't.
Um, yeah, and I mean, it's one of the reasons why SmackDown on Tuesdays ended up, failing.
Right.
And you know, and I mean, if they, yeah, this is such a difficult thing to discern in these times because you really just can't be sure. Like if it's gonna move to Tuesdays, I would say try moving it to another network. Try moving it to ESPN.
Hmm. That's an interesting.
I mean, think about it this way. Okay, they've got Raw on USA, Viacom, SmackDown on Fox, which is now owned by Disney, and yeah, I was gonna say ESPN. You get more of that Disney money.
Oh no.
So if they do move Tuesdays, make it move to a new network.
What say you, Kaliko?
I must admit, I I do like the flow of a Monday, Wednesday, Friday because it kind of gives the viewer a break. Because you got to think Monday's already what 3 hours, and
Yep.
then you got Friday was 2 hours, and when NXT was an hour, I think it was good because it was short, sweet, to the point, and that's what most people looked forward to. They looked forward to the shortest programming because it caught their attention span the most. Moving it to a Tuesday is it asking the audience to go back to back. That tells me they must think NXT got pulled, and NXT does have its core base where most people are like, I don't even watch Raw and SmackDown. I'm just an NXT person. So it's not that. Um, we just got to figure out what's the angle and what's the end game. Now, with football coming back and the way that sports is so far blended, because think about it, we got college football, professional football. The NBA is still in playoffs right now. Usually the NBA is done, and it only would take a LA Clippers Lakers finals or conference finals to knock NXT out the boot, or a Boston Lakers NBA finals that they run on Tuesdays, because that's how it usually goes. Um, so I would be cautious with it, especially during this time, because a lot of the sports that are usually over are still running, and they're running coinciding with other sports that are just beginning. So the audience have options now. And that's where it's dangerous. Because if they couldn't get it where they had no audience for that, March to about June timeframe, I think it's going to be more difficult for WWE even on a Tuesday, because all it would take is the NBA running a game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals on ESPN, because that ESPN and ABC, they usually run the Eastern Conference playoffs. So that's why I'm like, that could dip them in the behind, or any of the ESPN college football contracts, because they have games on Tuesdays. And I'm betting you they're going to play those damn. They're going to play as much live sports as they can, just to get that revenue back for these colleges and universities. So that's where I think the struggle will be for WWE. Hell, even AEW, because hell, once live sports comes back and some of these places are going to allow fans just to have that atmosphere, I think that's just going to change the game.
Speaking of AEW, they drew 1 million viewers this last Wednesday with no competition from NXT. But I could make the argument, All Out is essentially their WrestleMania to a degree. So yeah, people wanted to see who won at the biggest paid preview. No different than the ratings from the Raw after WrestleMania, right, Scooter?
Um, honestly, I don't know if that applies as much as it was just being unopposed, and it being back on its regular night. Um, because there is a trend with, you know, with TV shows that if they're not on for a week and then they come back at the same time slot, you're always going to see an increase in viewership because of the people that missed it at its regular time.
Fair enough.
Plus, with you got to wonder how many new what had the inside scoop on what was going to go down on Dynamite. It's it's uh it's the exception, not the rule, to a degree. I don't think. I don't think we'll see them hit 1 million 2 weeks in a row, if not for quite some time.
I mean,
that's what I was thinking too.
I get that point, but I also just, to me, it just goes to show that it was just crabs in a barrel, man. Honestly. And that's for NXT and WWE. They were fighting for the same audience. They weren't fighting to expand the audience. And that's why I thought it was a lose. It's a win for wrestling that we have more options to watch wrestling, but it's a lose for wrestling in the sense that we're not trying to expand the tent. We're just fighting for the same group of people. And that is where I was like, it don't even matter.
Well, on that same episode of AEW, we saw the debut of Miro.
Miro.
Miro, not Mario. Luigi?
Miro. Also formerly known as Rusev.
God, they couldn't think of a better name than to go with the first half of his first name.
No, I think that was his call there.
Ugh.
Miro. Scooter, your thoughts?
Spanish for I watch. Now,
I know, miro, mija, miro, mija.
um, oof. Oh God, first that bleached hair is a mistake. Like, I went blonde, and like 12 something years ago, and people with naturally dark hair, there's a reason we don't do that anymore because God, it was like that episode of Fresh Prince where Carlton accidentally dyes his hair, or he dyes his hair for Halloween, and it just looked so awkward. Um, Couple the fact with they are doing the exact same thing the WWE did with him. They're putting him with the All Elite version of Aiden English.
You
They're
mean
making
just
him.
another British guy?
They're making him another, someone's muscle.
And nobody is going to mention the fact that he wore pajama bottoms and a Mickey and Minnie shirt.
I mean,
The least of his problems.
Though I will say that I am wholly interested in seeing what he does in New Japan.
Did he say he was going into New Japan?
Yes. His contract will allow him to take New Japan dates in Japan, but it won't allow him to take any USA bookings.
Well,
So New Japan USA is out of the question.
So basically, the Moxley rule,
yes.
Yeah.
which is going to be interesting considering Moxley is supposed to be fighting Kenta for the chip, and yeah, we're still waiting on that one.
It's coming. It's coming soon.
I don't think so. I personally don't think so. In the sense that unless the U.S. gets off these these being banned for traveling elsewhere, I don't see it happening. And I would think Mox would have to relinquish the belt.
I think that's where they're heading. At least that's where it seems they're heading.
That's the only way it could go. But honestly, I think that would be better off because Kenta could get the belt without having to fight. He's already hated anyway, so that would just even put more heat on him.
They also signed Sarita Deeb.
Oh, so the WWE count goes to 27 now?
I mean, it feels like 2,700.
It does.
And if the WWE jumps on, if AEW jumps on signing former WWE staff writer Anthony Benino, that will, if they can do that, that would probably give them a much needed boost in the on the other side of things.
As far as I know, AEW doesn't have writers.
They got
I think they only got producers, right?
Right.
then those producers are writers. Because somebody's doing
Yeah,
the
somebody's got to get the flow of the show together. So yeah, I get the point.
yeah. So
So, Kaliko, your thoughts on Miro and AEW?
I mean, it is what it is. Hey man, get your job. I ain't mad at you. Um, I don't think I think some people get over over what's the word, overworked when a WWE guy gets signed. I think about what Scooter says, and it's to me more about how they use them. And that is my biggest gripe when they sign WWE guys. Because if you're going to sign a, a Rusev just to put him in a kind of a gimmick that he had with Aiden English, or if you have a Ty Dillinger and you have him do basically where is basically a lat move. So you can't sit there and tell me, oh my God, Vince is so out of touch and he doesn't get it when they're basically lat moving to a different company and doing the same damn thing.
What about Tanara Conti? She just signed with AEW, and her first match officially as an active competitor, they jobbed her to Nyla Rose.
yeah, but her record was 1-1 on her
When
on
Yeah,
her
Tanya
thing.
Conti got cut off a long time ago, but I could see with Tanya Conti because Tanya Conti never really got traction in NXT, so that's one thing. But if you have someone who, in Rusev, keep in mind, he was supposed to have been slated champion before Jinder Mahal if he hadn't fucked his ankle up. That's how high he was. And for him to sit there and say, oh, I'm this brass ring and blah, 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 and you go and you're doing the same thing, it doesn't compute to me. It doesn't compute to me. You know what I mean?
right,
It's like as much as everyone sits there and shits on like how they're managed, people need to realize there's only so many people that could be at the top. You know what I'm saying? And it's rotating. It's not where and it's not a platform where you know how it used to be in the 80s where they had this one big star and that's it. WWE's trying to do it to where there's a gang of motherfuckers that are all on top and the brand itself is the top star. So that's where I feel like there's that disconnect. And then only for them to go to AEW and do the same thing when AEW needs to be focusing on getting their branding up versus trying to sign everybody and have them do the same role. I mean, to me, it's kind of hypocritical.
right. And I'm sure by next week the AEW former WWE star count will be up to 30. Until then, we will finish up with the
I mean,
news.
50, 1100.
We'll finish up with the news.